Yeah, yeah, yeah. So many lies that you hear from the net, they don't get her respect. She reporting the truth, not a check. You want an unbiased opinion straight from the chest, not a bit accomplice or someone here for a check. Tune in, these are thoughts from a lawyer on a mission who goes so hard it's like she works on commission. Trolls in the comments might say she tripping cause they lack the knowledge, they don't know they missing. Got a couple current events that you like, wanna know about law from the eyes. Tired of all these blogs running lies because their agendas are disguised. Tune in to the intellect, cause I'm sure y'all missing all the facts of the case that she steady is gifting. Someone here for the people, man, it's so uplifting. If you ain't subscribed yet, then you just omitting facts.
Hello, everyone. It is Pam Esquire, also known as your law intellect. If you are new here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. If you would be so kind to hit the like button, I had someone towards the end of our last live ask why you don't hit the like button after the live. Like I'm asking you to tell me whether you really like the video. I'm asking you to hit the like button so that other people that don't get notifications will hopefully get their notifications. And also, it goes to the algorithm so that other people that don't know that our channel exists, it may come down their timeline if they are interested in the law. Okay. Over here, we talk about cases from the neighborhood to Hollywood. And today, we will be talking about one of the cases that are here in my neighborhood. That is Apostle David E. Taylor. David E. Taylor is accused of running amok for a number of years. Okay. If you are a member, you know that I called there probably 3 weeks ago and the prayer line is still cranking. They still giving out prayers if you call them and tell them that you got a problem. So it don't stop, won't stop. For those of you that don't know, first of all, I want you to watch the first video that we have done. But David E. Taylor was indicted over here in the Eastern District of Michigan, where his headquarters is in Taylor, Michigan. He is accused of human trafficking based on making folks work for free, taking all of their money, taking away food. This is all an allegation. And then his co-defendant, who is Michelle Brandon, who we will be talking about on today, she also was indicted as being the right-hand woman. Now, I first learned of David E. Taylor a while ago because, I knew some people that went to that church. And then also, Vicky Yohe got caught up in the rapture, pun intended. And what she did was she started dating the guy. And what she found out, she probably saw a lot of the shenanigans, but you know how you turn a blind eye until you feel like it's happening to you? That's what I feel. But again, that's just my opinion. I don't know Vicky Yohe. However, I do know some of the things that she said when it comes to politics, but I digress. So Vicky Yohe got online and she basically said that she had been dating David E. Taylor, who is the guy that said that he is God's best friend. All right, him and Jesus hanging out on a regular basis. That's his homeboy. All right, so if you want to get close to him, you need to get close to David E. Taylor. She also mentioned, I believe, something about him reading various books, or somebody mentioned about him reading books about occults and people that are in cults and all of that. But anyway, back to Vicky Yohe. Because of who you are, Vicky Yohe. Okay. She was dating him and she said that she believed the Lord told her, because she wasn't outed, that she should come out and tell everyone about David E. Taylor. However, in a recent interview, she acknowledged that she came out when she found out she wasn't the only one. See, David E. Taylor was telling her, according to her, not Pam, that she was his wife and that they were meant to be together. And they were going to be together, but they had to be a secret. Don't tell nobody. And then one day a lady walked up to her and said, I got something to tell you, Vicky. And Vicky said, what? She said, I've been banging David E. Taylor. Me and him are together. And Vicky said she was like, oh, okay. Huh. And so I think that was the moment where the light bulb went off and she realized she wasn't the only one. And then she went on to say that now she believed that she needed to go on and tell all about David E. Taylor. And then she started getting harassment, according to her, in her inboxes where they were saying, "You're wicked, you going to hell," and all of that. And Michelle was allegedly one of the people that was making those type of threats. Now, if you were to ask me why she came out, it's just my opinion. I feel like she came out because she was a little hurt. But she said, of course, as a lot of people do, that God told her to come out and to warn everybody. But apparently, we weren't supposed to be warned until you got your heart broke. But that's another conversation for another day. That's not what we're here for. What we're here for is a month ago, well, back in July, it was under seal. But David E. Taylor, people have been complaining about him for some years. There was a deposition that was online. I actually do have the transcript. In that deposition, everybody was cracking up because they were talking about asking him questions. I believe it was like a domestic relation case. So it was something to do with maybe a child or one of his kids or ex-wife or something. And in that, let me see what the transcript says, because then I can say exactly what type of case that it was. Okay. So he wasn't in the case. So I think this may have been, oh, she's actually the prosecutor in Oakland County now. So I believe that this is the case. So let me read this intro so I can see exactly what type of case it was. Okay. Privilege. Okay, hold on. So he got sworn in. Let's see. So it looks like, maybe, I'm assuming because I didn't read it all, and y'all could probably help me out because you probably remember more than I do. It was a case where he must have got called in because maybe somebody in a domestic relations situation must have been giving donating to his church or something. That's what I can gather from my perusing, but I need to read the whole transcript so that I know. And I can't put it on the screen because I didn't redact it. And I know he did just mention his son in the first paragraph and where they lived and all of that. So I will have to redact it. But anyway, I say all that to say those clips are all over TikTok because he was talking about every time they would ask him anything about his finances, he would say, "You're going to have to ask Michelle. You're going to have to ask Michelle." Then they would ask things such as, "You have Gucci clothes and you have all of these name brands, and this is how much you pay for it. Why are you, oh, that's it? That's actually a good deal." He had mansions or whatnot that he said was a retreat. It was all a part of the church. But anyway, it was all over the internet like probably 10 years ago. And so a lot of people knew David E. Taylor from that as well. Well, after a number of years, people were giving up. They was like, "Listen, apparently David E. Taylor must be Teflon Don because nobody is coming after him." And that changed in July when there was a grand jury that brought back an indictment to indict David E. Taylor and Michelle Brannon. And it was unsealed in August. At that time, David E. Taylor was in North Carolina and Michelle was in Florida. So they did appear and they were arrested, and that's what you see. That's why you see a mugshot, all right? Because they had to go to the sheriffs because usually the feds don't release any mug shots. So they have their mug shots that's on the thumbnail. Well, Michelle was extradited from Florida and she is over here in Michigan. Both parties have entered appearances, have attorneys that have entered appearance. David E. Taylor is still, from my understanding, North Carolina. He still has not been extradited and has not made his first appearance here in Michigan yet. But when when Michelle was there at the first, when they appeared down there in Florida, apparently, according to what we're going to read, it sounds like the government did not want either one of them to be out on bond. So, what Michelle has done a few days ago, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday, she has filed a motion to get out on bond. Okay. Kind of, you know how we went through all of this with Diddy when Diddy was trying to get out and we were going over the brief. This is similar. And some of the things that she alleges has happened since she's been incarcerated, and we kind of get an idea of kind of where she's going with this. When you read it, you get an idea of where Michelle is going with this. So that is the intro, y'all. So I'm going to speak to a few of you guys, and then I'm going to get into this document. Thank you all for coming on here on a Sunday. I hope you guys are having a great day. Hope you guys have already took your Sunday nap, your after service nap. And yeah. Hey Denise, good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Melanie, good to see you. Jackson Tabasco, Amy, Auntie Gigi, Patty, Glamour W. Thank you so much for supporting. Very cheery and Andrea, thank you. The will to win. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming on over here. Miss Sue said, good evening, Pam and Intellects. Well, good evening to you. Good evening to you. Sharon said, hello, Pam, mods in chat, all that are watching with all of the hearts. You're just so sweet. Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you so much for coming over and supporting. You get me said the most shocking thing about this is multiple women were hunching on David E. Taylor. Of course you get me. Out of all of this, this is what you get me got out of it. She said, oh my gosh, people were sleeping with that guy. Gotta love you get me. All right. Look at that picture. I mean, my goodness. She has no chill. Granny the Great said, funny, the algorithm brought up last post of him this morning, and I listened. You know, and I noticed that a lot of people were commenting on that video. So I don't know what YouTube is doing. I don't. But hey, Ray, I haven't seen you in a minute. Glad to see you, bro. So it's interesting to me how this works. I don't know. Like it's just random people. It won't even necessarily be the very last video I did, but all of a sudden I will get like on a Nesto video from a year ago. And people are kikiing and laughing like I just did it last week. I'm like, okay, whatever. Thank you all for the views and likes. But yeah, that happened. So but thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Thank you, one Jennifer. She said, I look cute. Girl, gas me up. Gas me up in my little ponytail. Huh? Because I need to get my hair done. Denise said, I can never get caught up on David E. Taylor. It just gets worse. Well, we just getting started. He hasn't even made an appearance yet here. So we'll see how this goes. We'll see how this goes, y'all. All right, let's pull up this document because I don't want to hold you longer than I have to, even though I enjoy chit-chatting with each and every one of you guys. Kelly said my videos are timeless. Oh my God. Lord, keep me humble. Lord, keep me humble. I want to be in your will. And these people are gassing my head up, Lord. I just want to stay. I just want to stay humble. That's it. Amen. Thank you, Kelly, so much for the kind words. I appreciate it. Kimberly, good to see you. Let's pull up this here document and my Nesto. Did you guys go see that last phone calls from prison over there with Nesto and them? I was watching that. So this is U.S. v. Michelle Brannon, okay? Response in opposition to the motion for pretrial detention. As I said, the government basically said you need to stay detained until you go to trial. They are doing the Diddy on them. They said you don't need to get out, all right? You do not need to be outdoors. You need to be inside. You might need to start your own little spiritual community up in the jail while you are awaiting your fate. That's what it sounds like the government was saying. Because you guys know Diddy was in jail and they said he started some type of business class while he's been in there. He's been utilizing his business prowess and has, been helping people so that they can come out and be legit and open up their own ice cream stands and car washes and restaurants. And they probably in there auditioning for Diddy. Like, Diddy, I know how to rap. I know how to rap too. Probably Diddy bopping. They probably are, but they find their way. God can use you in any situation. So the government said, you need to sit over here for a minute and sit down. All right. And so she filed an opposition and said, no, judge, I need to get out. All right. I need to get out. So comes now defendant Michelle Brandon, who says buying through a counsel and hereby opposes the government's detention memo and requests that this court, pursuant to Title 18 U.S.C. Section 3145B, admit Brandon to bail on a combination of conditions of release that will reasonably assure her appearance at trial and the safety of the community or any other person. In support of this response, defendant Brandon states as follows. Here is the procedural background. Again, this is the co-defendant for David E. Taylor. Defendant is charged with one count of conspiracy to commit forced labor in violation of Title 18 U.S.C. Section 1594 sub B, multiple counts of forced labor in violation of 18 U.S.C. Section 1589, which is counts 2 through 7, and one count of money laundering, conspiracy in violation of 18 U.S.C. Section 1956 sub H. That is count 10. Defendant was indicted in the Eastern District of Michigan on July 23rd, 2025, and consented to detention at that time. Prior to transfer under Rule 5C3, with detention to be argued following the transfer. The government subsequently filed its detention memo in this matter requesting pretrial detention. Now we talking about the Bail Reform Act. We talked about that a lot in the Diddy trial. So here we go. You guys are probably experts at the Bail Reform Act at this point. But under the Bail Reform Act, 18 U.S.C. Section 3142, it upheld the Supreme Court in United States v. Salerno. A defendant may be detained pending trial only if a judicial officer, quote, finds that no condition or combination of conditions will reasonably assure the appearance of the person as required and the safety of any other person in the community. U.S. v. Stone, which is in the Sixth Circuit over here. A judicial officer's finding of dangerousness must be supported by clear and convincing evidence. So that is the standard, clear and convincing evidence. The default position of the law, therefore, is that a defendant should be released pending trial. The default is modified, however, for certain particularly dangerous defendants. When a judicial officer finds that there is probable cause to believe that a defendant committed one of the crimes listed in Section 3142 sub E sub 3, there is a presumption in favor of detention. Subject to rebuttal by the person, it shall be presumed that no condition or combination of conditions will reasonably assure the appearance of the person as required and the safety of the community, citing 18 U.S.C. Section 3142E3. So what they are essentially saying is that the default is to allow a person to be out pending trial. However, if you have committed any of the crimes listed in Section 3142 sub E sub 3, then it's presumed that you should be detained. And then that means it will be on the defendant to rebut that presumption and say, even though there is a presumption, now I am going to rebut that presumption and say, no, I should not be detained. But generally, if it's not any of the crimes that is under 3142 sub E sub 3, then you're supposed to be out on, the default is to allow you to be out on bail. However, if you happen to be on that crime list under Section 3142, your crime says you go through it and you like, oh, dang, that's me. There's a presumption that you should be detained. However, you got to fight and say, despite the presumption, it's a rebuttable presumption, so I can rebut that presumption against being detained. When the government, okay, I'm sorry, let me go back up. Subject to rebuttal by the person, it shall be presumed that no condition or combination of conditions will reasonably assure the appearance of the person as required in the safety of the community. When the government presents an indictment including charges listed in Section 3142 sub E sub 3, it has fulfilled its burden to establish the presumption in favor of detention. So as soon as they file that indictment and it has any of those listed crimes on the 3142, it established this burden that you should be detained. So then they go on to Section 3142 sub E sub 3's presumption in favor of detention imposes only, quote, a burden of production on the defendant, and the government retains the burden of persuasion. And that's in U.S. v. Mercedes in the Second Circuit and U.S. v. Portes in the Seventh Circuit, which is not our circuit. We're in the Sixth Circuit over here in Michigan. Quote, a defendant satisfies his burden of production when he comes forward with evidence that he does not pose a danger to the community or a risk of flight. So you satisfy your burden of producing evidence that you are not, that you don't pose a danger to the community, or that you're not going to go over to Africa or something, that you're not going to fly, you're not going to go away and hide and not come back. So you can produce information to the court. All right. And then the government got to persuade the court that this production wasn't good enough. Although a defendant's burden of production is not heavy, he must introduce at least some evidence. When a defendant satisfies his burden, quote, the presumption favoring detention does not disappear entirely, but remains a factor to be considered among those weighed by the district court. The presumption remains as a factor because it is not simply an evidentiary tool designated for the court, but reflects Congress's substantive judgment that particular classes of offenders should ordinarily be detained prior to trial. And that's a Seventh Circuit case in Stone. The presumption of dangerousness represents congressional findings that certain offenders are likely to continue to engage in criminal conduct undeterred either by the pendency of charges against them or by the imposition of monetary bond or other release conditions. To rebut the presumption, therefore, a defendant should, quote, present all the special features of this case that take it outside the congressional paradigm. Regardless of whether the presumption applies, the government's ultimate burden is to prove that no condition of release can assure that the defendant will appear and to assure the safety of the community. And determining whether the government has met the burden of persuasion, the court must consider certain factors, including 1, the nature and circumstances of the offense charged, including whether the offense is a crime of violence, a federal crime of terrorism, or involves a minor victim or a controlled substance, firearm, explosive, or destructive device. 2, the weight of the evidence against the person. 3, the history and characteristics of the person, including A, the person's character, physical and mental condition, family ties, employment, financial resources, length of residence in the community, community ties, past conduct, history relating to drug or alcohol abuse, criminal history and record concerning appearance at court proceedings, and B, whether at the time of the current offense or arrest the person was on probation, on parole, or on other release pending trial, sentence and appeal, or completion of sentence for an offense under federal, state, or local law, and 4, the nature and seriousness of the danger to any person or the community that will be posed by the person's release. 18 U.S.C. 3142G and 3142C provides in relevant part for pretrial release subject conditions as follow. Subject to the conditions that the person not commit a federal, state, or local crime during the period of release, and subject to the least restrictive further condition or combination of conditions that such judicial officer determines will reasonably assure the appearance of the person as required and the safety of any other person in the community. So I just read that because it was in bold. So, of course, this is what they would have to, when you're released, you have to follow all of this, if you're released. Consistent with the intent of Congress, the act encourages release of the accused pending trial, provided some conditions or combinations of conditions can reasonably assure the appearance of the accused at trial and the safety of the community or any other person. U.S. v. Stone, Sixth Circuit case, which stands for the proposition that a defendant may be detained pending trial only if a judicial officer finds that no condition or combination of conditions will reasonably assure the appearance of the person is required and the safety of any other person in the community. The wide range of restrictions available ensures, as Congress intended, that very few defendants will be subject to pretrial detention. So they're talking about when they go up here, when I go back up here a little bit and they talk about the conditions that they have to meet regardless, those are those that help ensure the safety of the community as well if they are followed. So y'all want to know why they say that Miss Brennan does not pose a danger to society? You guys ready for that? Hey, champions. Good to see you. We got all the law out the way. A little dry, but you guys, and you should know about it because we talked about it 11 times with Diddy. Did we not? You see how I did that? We talked about that a few times. You guys are having your own conversation while I'm trying to instruct you on the law. You know, people pay 6 figures for some of this information that I'm giving you right now. I'm just joking. Just joking. I mean, Deb, you are over here cutting up. All right, you're over here cutting up, and I'm trying to give the federal rules over here on whether she should be released on bail or not. Guys are cutting up over here in this chat. You said, let me guess, because she is a mother. No, it's guys, it's gonna be better than that. It's a good one though, Tracy. It's gonna be better than that though. You said Deb is hilarious. A lady said, I can't focus on the story because of this chat. Well, you know, when you get this, we're not getting into the facts yet. I just went over the law, so it was kind of boring. I understand. Make sure y'all hit that like button on, subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much. Oh, I didn't even do no gold today. See, I'm tripping. Let me see. Can I do one on here? Hold on. Y'all got me up here on a Sunday. Hold on a second. Nah. Okay, let's do a goal on here. While y'all Kiki and Kaka, he on this goal that we gonna have up in here. All right. Give me some super chats. Bless me on this Sunday. This is the offering plate. Will there be one? Will there be one? All right, let's get back to this document. You know what? Ding, 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 ding. But you'll be surprised at what happened, though. Ding, 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 ding. Y'all so smart. You guys are the smartest people I have ever met in my life. I would hire half of you guys to work with me because I know we will take over this whole judicial game because you guys are so smart. We could change laws together. But let's get into the specifics. But generally speaking, you guys are both correct. Those are the main arguments. But let's pull it up. The will to win said, ushers, close the door. Yes, close the door. Please close the door. Hit those super chats. Thank you so much. Brandon does not pose a danger to any other person or the community against which no condition or combination of conditions of release can reasonably assure. On August 28, 2025, defendant consented to detention in the Middle District of Florida without prejudice, and the magistrate court accordingly ordered her detained without making any specific factual findings, reserving her rights to challenge detention in the district. Defendant requests that a detention hearing be scheduled and heard, and that she be released under the Bail Reform Act. If she has a hearing, I'll be there. No worries. Defendant Brandon respectfully submits that she does not pose a danger to the community or any other person against which no combination of conditions of release can reasonably assure, and that she should be released to bail upon entry of an appropriate set of conditions of release. First, during her detention in Florida, defendant suffered a cardiac event and underwent heart surgery. During that surgery, surgeons placed a stent in her heart. After her release to the jail facility following surgery, defendant suffered significant distress and was hospitalized for several days for additional monitoring and observation. Her focus in the coming months will necessarily be focused on following her doctor's orders, minimizing stress, and maintaining her health, and she does not pose a risk to the community or any other person. I bet you all didn't see that coming. She got arrested and had a whole heart attack while she was in jail awaiting extradition. Thank you so much, Jackson Tabasco, for the super chat. I appreciate that. Shara Hill, a victim. We're going to get into that next. Thank you for the super chat, but you're right on target. Yes, y'all didn't see that one coming. Stress will do it for you. I'd have been stressed out too, sugar. Talking about 7 whatever amount of counts of forced labor and money laundering and all of that good stuff. Yep, I probably would have, my chest probably would have got a little tight too. Granny the Great, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it. Black Rose, you weren't expecting that, were you? You didn't think she had a whole heart attack while she was down there waiting to get out. You know what, Juanita? Juanita Bynum, Mary Chris. What does that mean? Why is your title? Because this is Sunday, so that's what we're talking about, our church case. What does Juanita Bynum, Mary Chris mean? Why is your title? Why is your name like that on Facebook? I mean, on YouTube. I said Facebook. Why is your name like that on YouTube? I'm curious. I need to know so we can move on. So we can move on with her other. You said, that's my confession. Name it and claim it, blab it and grab it. So your name is Chris and you want to marry Juanita Bynum? Am I reading that correctly? Is your name Chris and you want to marry Juanita Bynum? Thank you, Miss HLS, for the super chat, sis. I appreciate that. Is that what you're saying? You said yes, ma'am. So you're naming it and claiming it like the Clark sisters that you're going to be Juanita Bynum's husband. Did God tell you this? Are you telling me that God told you that Juanita is your husband? I mean, is your wife? I was on the Kendra G single show. Well, was Juanita on there? I'm intrigued now. Like, was Juanita on this show? Like, what does Kendra G single show have to do with this? Mrs. C, thank you for the super chat. She said, wow, definitely wasn't expecting that. Don't they be chatting? I'm just as chatting with you guys, and we're supposed to be talking about the law on this Sunday. Joy said YouTube just sending your videos anyway. It's a very specific using that. You said, I am a female. Heavy emphasis on the male. No, she wasn't on the Kendra G show. Okay. So you want to marry Juanita Bynum. You said you're a female. And she wasn't on the Kendra G show. I was just trying to put together what the Kendra G show had to do with you wanting to marry Juanita Bynum. Does Juanita know? Did you send her a DM or something? Did she know that you want to marry her? Granny said, all right, I'm back focused. I just threw me off. I seen that name. Most of you guys are talking about like your names. A lot of them like got changed to Shirley Strawberry and Ernesto and Sonia and all of that. And I'm used to that. That was just a little different. So I had to inquire into why the name was like that. That's all. I was just being curious. There, she says she's not a man. I mean, I don't want to say she. I don't know what pronouns you go by, but it's not a male. Female is what she said. Just Gab said you got to send $1,000 first of all. I needed to respond. Oh my goodness. Juanita Bynum is the queen bee. She is queen of the HIV. Okay. All right. I think that's my cue to keep reading. Got it. Hey, I asked, so thank you so much for responding to my questioning. I appreciate that. Let's move on. This is why Dev said you always say you're gonna be on for an hour, then you're on for 2 hours, because of stuff like this. I get distracted and then I get curious, and then I just want to, inquire and get to the bottom of things. That's my job. I get to the bottom of things. All right, moving on. Defendant Brandon respectfully submits that she does not pose a danger to the community or any other person against which no combination of conditions of release can reasonably assure, and that she should be. Oh, I already read that part. Sorry, y'all. See, I'm really off. I read that already. Okay, moving on. I'm back on track. Defendant has no prior criminal history. The circumstances of the charged offenses make clear that the charged criminal conduct occurred under circumstances where defendant is alleged to have acted as her co-defendant, Taylor's second in command, quote, carrying out, end quote, his orders. The text messages cited in the indictment reflect that the origin of the charged allegation followed a typical model where Taylor, trading on his authority and religious adherence, demanded action of Brandon. So then these are some of the texts that were quoted in the indictment. On or about September 19, 2021, at 10:20 p.m., Taylor texted to KOGGC victim DG, quote, Michelle and Kia, make them all stand and tell them if the punishment of 4 a.m. don't work, I'm going to make it worser and worser. They are going to get their beds out of my house and sleep in the garage. Indictment paragraph 39 sub B says, on or about May 26, 2022 at approximately 11:35 a.m., Taylor texted to the group, including victim 2, warning in all caps from Apostle, Michelle, deal out consequences to all the closers that are not bringing in their amount. Garage in Tampa and take away food now! Exclamation. The indictment paragraph 40 sub E says, on or about May 27, 2022 at 7:20 a.m., Taylor texted to the group, including victim 2, judgment in all caps. These numbers are bad. 7 of the top closers need to go in the garage in Tampa now. Also, I want food taken away. Michelle, deal out consequences to all the closers that are not bringing in their amount. Garage in Tampa and take away food now. Paragraph 40, sub F says, on or about July 31st, 2022 at 12:01 a.m., Taylor texted to the group, including victim 2, quote, you are getting up at 8 a.m. also. I want cold water thrown on those who drag and won't get up. A big bucket of water. Michelle, enforce this. Indictment paragraph 40, sub G. The government's detention memo overwhelmingly lumps defendant Brannon with defendant Taylor, failing to recognize that the same elements of manipulation and control that it attributes to Taylor appear evident from the acts alleged in the indictment to be applicable to his relationship with defendant Brannon as well. The evidence the government has referenced in support of its detention memorandum, with the exception of a single allegation about the gift of use of a luxury vehicle, establishes little more than defendant Brannon's purported status as another person subject to Taylor's influence and control at a more supervisory level, who was called upon to carry out restrictions imposed by Taylor on others at his direction. So, if you guys can read between the lines, all I'm saying is the way this is reading to me is that she was manipulated as well. He just had her in a supervisory situation. She, the way this reads, was a victim as well, as some of you guys said. She was just in an advisory situation because she was manipulated too. Now, what is interesting to me, and I was discussing this with Deb, I said, well, how do we differentiate? We went through that with the Diddy case and some other cases we went over. How do we differentiate when you need to be accountable because you choose to be in situations or you really were manipulated? So here, and I ain't mad at the lawyer for, coming up with this or stating this, true or not true, whatever. I'm not here for that. I get where the lawyer would be coming from by bringing this up as an argument, because if you're saying these other people were manipulated to the point where they were giving all their checks away, they were working around the clock, they were giving up their food, they were doing whatever he said, they were subject themselves to, I guess, punishment at homeless shelters, which sounded like a better place to be than being there, then why wouldn't she be considered manipulated too? Because she was just doing what he told her to do, and because probably at some point she probably was where they were, and she just ended up being in a supervisory position because he trusted her and she showed herself to be loyal when other people left. So now the government in this particular situation is labeling her a co-defendant by doing what he told her to do, or being her second in charge or right hand or whatever you want to call her. That she did things at the direction of him is what they are alleging. And she's saying, well, I'm no different than the people that was in the house. The only difference, though, Michelle, is I believe you probably didn't eat peanut butter and jelly for a month. You probably were one of those taking enjoying some of those food stamps. If I were to guess, I'm just a legend. Okay, I don't know. That's what was your living conditions at that time? Were you crowded in with everybody else at that time? You were told to make them go to garages. Did you go sleep in garages with mattresses? Because see, sometimes people, they get cool with being that control too, just like David E. Taylor had the coolness of, he was in control, and you felt like you was on his level. If you watch that deposition, me and Deb was talking about it, that deposition, when they were asking him questions about finances, oh, you would have to ask Michelle. Michelle has a deposition as well that is on YouTube. You have to ask Michelle. Oh, that right there. Oh, you would have to ask Michelle. Oh, that right there. You would have to ask Michelle. That too. Ask Michelle. And then Vicky Yohe, she also showed text messages that we showed on the last video, or inboxes that she alleges of Michelle talking to her sideways. And I was like telling her, you'll never be anything. And the only thing you'll ever have is your voice. So that's supposed to be why she named the book the way that she did. Because Michelle was letting her have it and trying to degrade her. Yeah. It's very interesting. So I'm just saying, I don't know any of these people. But based on this, Michelle's probably not going to have a problem saying what she knows. They offer her a proffer agreement or a deal. She just, but I think it's interesting because based on this, how does this affect the ministry? Because if she's saying I was manipulated or a victim just like other people, you're almost acknowledging that there are victims to him. So how does this affect your ministry and the prayer line that's still going as we speak? Y'all can call right now and it's probably still going, because when I called a few weeks ago, that lady prayed so quick and she told me all the tea too. Like, she was telling me, if you see anything online, it's not true. Don't believe what people say about our leaders. I mean, basically made it seem like he was a martyr. He basically is going through all of this just like Jesus went through all of this for the faith. That's how they're taking it. But I don't understand how this wouldn't cause a division if his right hand is using the defense of, I was manipulated just like them. I was a victim just like them. I don't know. It's just very interesting. Deb, you about to call them for some prayer? I don't know. Hey, Bam girl, good to see you. You said they both were eating steak and shrimp from the money. Now they had it's alleged. They were allegedly they were getting food stamp cards from people. And there was an interview of a family member from somebody the other day, and the family member was basically, part of the allegation is that he would isolate people from their families, and so people would try to get their loved ones away from them, but they wouldn't leave. Like, they would talk originally, let them know, oh, I'm at this ministry, it's a blessing to me, and then slowly as time progressed, they would hear less and less of them, and they would come around less and less, so he would gather more control over them, is what was being alleged in the interview from someone who had family. But yeah. Mrs. C60 said, all I want to know is, was she sleeping and eating something other than peanut butter sandwiches? What was she driving and where did she live? And I think those are good questions. And I'm sure the government is going to find the answers to those questions if they decide to do some type of reply, because this is the opposition to the detention, which means there was a document. I think I did pull it in Florida, but it was kind of long, and I figured we could just go over this one and it'd be just as sufficient. Of which, if they decide to reply to this, then maybe they will. Toria said, I don't have no clue who these people are. You're going to have to go to the first video, Toria. Mr. Big Play Bray said, I knew she was going to say I was the victim. The black man made me do it. D-Dub said, the devil made me do it. Flip Wilson. Deb said she wasn't a victim at all. She was down for the ride. Juanita said Juanita Bynum married Chris. Juanita Bynum's partner said she could say she was under the distress. Well, wannabe partner. Let me take that back. I don't want Juanita coming for me. I'm just saying. Name it and claim it. That's what I'm gonna call you. Name it and claim it. Name it and claim it said she could say she was under the rest. Dev said, "Will his hairstyle be called a mushroom?" Dev, go sit down somewhere. Susan said, "I was part of the ministry until October 2014. So, what was your experience, Susan? Would you like to tell us, Susan? Allegedly, you said 2024. I was part of the ministry until 2024. Okay. Okay. Thank you for the super chat, Susan. I appreciate that. Why did you leave, Susan? Hmm? Might I ask? May I ask, please? Why did you leave? Mm-mm. Let's see what else she has to say. The alleged circumstances suggest that a combination of conditions of confinement that require that defendant Brannon abide by specific restrictions on personal associations, place of abode or travel, and avoid all contact with an alleged victim of the crime and with the potential witness who may testify concerning the offense can effectively neutralize any danger to the community or any other person. Conditions that of bond that prevent and remove her from contact with Taylor and his followers will remove any remaining risk of harm. So she's not even gonna talk to y'all over there at that church where you guys are at over in Taylor. Thank you, Susan. I appreciate it. Apostle Lionel M. Blair said Michelle being a victim is partially true, but she also became a monster just like David. Very interesting. Susan, we appreciate all your support, but we trying to get the information, Susan. Okay. I'm going to be quite frank with you. Right now, we are trying to get some information on why you left JMMI, Joshua Ministries, something else now. We want to know what caused you to put up the deuces sign. Hmm? And what made you stay? How long did you stay? And what was it about him that made you stay? Those are the two questions that I just would like to know. Lady 747 said, "Don't say anything strange in this chat. We will ask you about it." Yes. And they will. And then if I don't see it, the chat's kind of slow today. But if it's like moving fast and there's a lot of people where I don't see it, they will DM me and say, "Did you see this?" And they'll screenshot it and send it to me just to let you guys know. I think it seems like their accounts, I don't know for certain, but it seems like their accounts would be frozen, right? If they're being accused of money laundering, you wouldn't have access to those accounts anymore. I would. So I don't know, but probably people within the church, they probably are, whoever the leaders are, because Michelle wouldn't be the only leader that was there. She was considered his right hand, but I don't know. So we all nosy Granny Susan left us hanging. Susan got to go pray about it first. Susan, do you need us to all pray together? Hmm. Do you need us all to pray about it right now so you can use righteous judgment whether you should tell us? We don't really know who you are. We just trying to see. Just try to answer a couple of questions so that we can better understand this. We take our cases very seriously. So we just want to better understand it. That's all. I think most of us are praying chat. Susan, do you need us to pray and see what the Lord tells us if you should tell us? You can't just say things like that and get super chats and then just disappear. That's not cool. It's not cool, guys. Yeah, if you don't follow me on Instagram, please go over on Instagram at pam.esq and go follow me on Instagram. And then also go over on the Tick and the Talk and follow me over there too at the same name. I'm trying to join the chat. Oh, maybe I got, you must not have subscribed to the channel. Susan, are you subscribed to the channel? You must not be subscribed. So I need you to subscribe to the channel, sis. Okay. And then what I need you to do, here's a link. Okay. And you should be able to hit that link. But I'm gonna need you to subscribe to the channel too. That must be why. Because now we're curious. All right, let's go on. The government's detention memorandum simply alleges that defendant Brandon has access to funds in two basic varieties. One, credit card, Venmo, and Cash App accounts that are used by a wide range of modern Americans and can be applied for by a wide range of Americans. And that can be effectively restricted, monitored, and or closed as a condition of bonds. Access to church financial accounts is as a signatory. Access to speculative sources of funds through ordinary financial accounts is by no means unusual among criminal defendants, and conditions restricting or monitoring transfers to those accounts by other church members and required disclosure and access to statements of those accounts would effectively neutralize any risk posed by defendants' access to resources. So this answers your questions, guys, about these accounts. It is defendants' understanding that the church's accounts have largely been seized, frozen, or closed at this time. See, I hadn't even read that. I just kind of assumed, speculated that was the case. Yes, please get these likes up, please. Thank you. So allegedly, it's their understanding too that these accounts have been frozen, closed, and seized. So I don't know where people giving their donations to, because somebody said people still donate. It is defendant's understanding that the church's accounts have largely been seized, frozen, or closed at this time. However, a condition of bond could require confirmation that her name has been removed as signatory from any remaining accounts and prohibit her from being added as signatory to any future accounts associated with the church. Her compromised health further minimizes any risk of non appearance, as she is in no condition to embark on difficult travel or to separate herself from necessary follow up care. Okay. Then, what do they have on here? With respect to her housing following her release, defendant suggests that she be released from custody on the condition that she has no contact with co-defendant Taylor or any other current or former members, with the exception of this person who defendant Brandon has named as her power of attorney, as Jones assists Brandon with health care following her recent cardiac surgery. With respect to Miss Jones, a condition of confinement could be imposed that would prevent any communication of messages to or from other church members during her communication. So she's agreeing not to have any contact with any of these members. Let me put this down some, because I know she starts talking about where she want to live at, even though I redacted it. Oh, that's it. So that's it. That's what she's asking. She's saying she's not a flight risk because she had a heart attack and she needs to be. First of all, she too weak to be dangerous out in this society because she just had a stent placed in her heart. Then she also says she's not a flight risk because she needs to be close for her health care purposes. She also gave a couple of people of houses that she could stay at if she were released. Her name, she is a signatory on accounts, but she believes that those accounts are frozen or seized by the United States of America. She also said that just for in an abundance of caution, they can take her name off as a signatory off of those accounts. She will not talk to David E. Taylor or no other member of the church. And that's it. A lady 747 said, courts do not seem to play with people that could have great influence on potential witnesses. She's not getting out. Okay, a lady 747. I didn't see any money there. I guess she's trying to get the signature bond with conditions, is what it looks like. Diddy was up there like, listen, I turn in my plat. Diddy had it where the whole family, the whole bloodline couldn't go out of the country. Okay. Listen, I know that my kids is graduating. They probably want to go on some trip to Cancun, but no. Everybody turning your passports. I need to get out. I got a multi-million dollar home. Put that up. I got a jet that y'all can put up. My mama got a house. We can put that up too. Listen, I got a good kidney right here. I know they said that I do, little drugs here and there, but I got a good kidney right here. I put that up too. I will donate my blood to the Red Heart, Red Cross. I said Red Heart. I will donate my blood to the Red Cross. The judge was like, yeah, no, that's not enough. Millions and millions of dollars being on tether, having security, all of that is not enough. Hi, Susan. How are you?
Hi.
Can you hear me okay?
Oh, I can hear you, and I'm looking a hot mess. I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. How are you?
I'm blessed and highly favored.
Oh,
Oh,
you're
Jesus.
so churched. Look at you. I'm blessed and highly favored. God is good.
Woo. Turn the light off. I don't want them to see the real me. Jesus.
You can turn your camera off if you want to.
Oh, my goodness.
I know
Yeah,
you're real.
that's better. I haven't been
So
feeling
you
well
went
today, so forgive me. Forgive me. Forgive me.
No worries. Thank you so much for coming on. So you went to Apostle Taylor's church. How long ago was that?
Oh, my goodness. First off, y'all got to understand that the way I joined is, I thought it was legit. I
Hmm.
feel like an idiot, but you know what? Thank God got me out of there before everything hit. I actually became full time in September of 2017.
Okay.
And then I left October of 2024 because I had death in my family. I had a brother who had passed away unexpectedly. And, but
I'm sorry to hear that. Oh, you were like a recent
yeah.
parishioner at the church.
Yeah, yeah. And unfortunately, I had to wait to get permission to leave just to even handle my brother, and this and that. It was like
You had
crazy
to get permission from who?
apostle before I could leave.
Even though you lost your loved one?
Yeah.
And and how did that make you feel? Like, was that like one of the red flags? Like,
Now I had red flags for a long time, but when you're told that if you leave a ministry that, God has his hand on, that if you leave that place, you're your soul is going, you'll have damnation on your soul, you know. It's the kingdom of God on earth and this and that. And the way it was told to me, like if I leave, you know, my soul is doomed. My family is doomed. I'm cursed. I mean, it was crazy. It's
And
crazy.
you obviously believed him, right?
Obviously I did, and there's many others who did too. Um,
So how
but
did you find out about the ministry?
actually, he hit me up on Facebook through Messenger. Um, right in 2000, like late 2015 going into 16, where he would do his yearly one night with the king um conference, and he wanted me to come in and, you know, meet them and see what God can do. God, he said, "Do you want to see Jesus face to face and this and that?" And I really didn't pay no mind to him, so I really ignored it. Then when he hit me back, he was like, "You know, you're beautiful and blah blah blah, this and that. You know, do you have a boyfriend?" And I'm like, "Yes, I do." And he said, "Oh, okay. Well, I just want to let you know that you're beautiful and um." You still want to see Jesus face to face? I mean, he was just, it was all over the place. That's the kind of
So
person.
he like slid in your DMs to try to talk to you, Miss Susan? Like he was trying to get a date?
Yes, ma'am. But he didn't want to make it public. That's the thing.
Like Vicky Yohe?
Right. Now about Miss Vicky, yeah, I understand what she was saying. A lot of things she was saying was right, but there's a lot of things that she said that was not true. That, you know,
Mm,
he would talk to her about the EBT card. One thing about him, the only reason why he was actually with her, because there was meetings that were held at the office without her. The only reason why he was around her is because she had a lot of followers, and he really wanted to reach her followers to join the ministry. That's why he really got really involved with her. So
mm.
her saying about everything about the EBT card, she didn't have any clue about that until she saw the documents or this and that, or she heard word of mouth. But something like that, he would never share with her. He was really more focused on getting more people for the ministry. That's what his heart was, to get into her million followers to follow him. And
Mm.
so,
So were
and
you in position or did you have like a position in the church or were you just one of the congregants?
I was one of the ministers there, and I did a lot for the ministry. But I can't really say a lot because I have to meet with authorities regarding this. But I wanted to reach out to you because I love your broadcast,
Oh, thank you.
and the first time I saw you, you had me cracking up because your facial expressions was just killing me.
I'll
It
try.
was my facial expressions while I was in the ministries. Mm. But a
That's
lot of
why I
the,
read a lot of stuff like for the first time when I'm on here because so they can get the raw of how I feel and my reaction to
yeah.
things. But yeah, I understand. You're not I don't want you to say like I feel dumb or anything like that. I think that in life it's a journey. You know, life is a journey. We don't have the full picture, only God knows the full picture. And
Hmm.
so we have trial and errors, we do things and we learn and sometimes some people learn the hard way and it
Right.
seemed like you wanted to believe and you knew there's obviously someone greater than you, which is God, and he seemed to present that in a way that was attracted to you that you were able to connect with, and a
Right.
lot of that is how cults are formed. So I don't want anyone to feel like, I know people are like, and I joke and I'll say stuff like, man, I left, you ain't gonna tell me to eat no peanut butter jelly sandwich. But I also haven't been in that situation because I've always been a person where if the doctrine doesn't align or if I ask you questions that doesn't make any sense to me, I am a question asker. You can't just give me a conclusion. I need to know how you got to that conclusion. And I've always been that way. I'll leave. So I've
Right.
never even been in that situation. And so, but I don't want you still sound in your voice, I'm just picking up that you still sound heavy. You still sound like you're kind of beating yourself up. And I just don't want you to feel that way. If anything on here, we want to get all the information and try to see what's going on. But I want you to be encouraged. I don't want you to feel like, I'm dumb. I can't believe that this happened. You got out. You got to thank God you got out because there's still a lot of people still in.
Well, I
because I
truly
just
thank God
called
for
about
that.
3 weeks ago.
Right. Right.
They was
I
still working.
truly, yeah, that is true because unfortunately it was because my brother had passed away, but God knew best, and my kids are so happy that I'm home and it's, whew, it was a
So
journey
you
from
were
the
living
time.
like in one of those facilities, like in one of the housing, I guess, that he had for the ministers. Were you living in there as well?
Yes.
Okay. Wow. And how was that? How was that experience living in the housing?
Hmm. It was interesting, um, crowded. Um, the workload was heavy and you won't find anywhere else like it. I, mm.
Have you been in the church prior to this? Prior to coming there, had you been in any other churches before?
Yeah, I'm a PK. I grew up as a PK, so,
What
and
denomination?
Church of God in Christ.
Oh, I knew you was gonna say Kojic. Like, Kojic.
Yeah, Kojic girl, Kojic, yeah,
You gotta
yeah.
be born in it.
Yeah, it must be funny, yeah, this is the Church of God in Christ, yeah. Yes, yes,
You know the
yes.
song, yeah. And you a PK, so your father was a Kojic
Well,
pastor.
what's interesting is this, that my grandfather was the armor bearer and the first minister of music for the Church of God in Christ for Bishop Mason, the actual founder of the Church of God in
Oh
Christ.
wow.
So I have a history and a legacy because my grandfather was ordained by Bishop Mason, and it, I come from a long legacy of greatness, and this is why it hurts that I what such a shame. But you know what, God is forgiving, and He's merciful, and I'm grateful for that. But I come from I should know better, but you learn, you truly do learn.
Well,
And
sometimes you have to get in it to see it. Like you said, okay, it was a bunch of red flags.
oh, it
Uh,
was a whole United Nation flag. That's what it was. Okay, Jesus.
you
I
said a
mean,
whole United Nations.
the whole United Nations and even outer space. I mean, Jesus. Mm.
So, can you give us a few examples without, you don't have to divulge a whole lot, but just a few examples of what red flags you would say that you witnessed while you were there before you got out?
Well, let's put it like this: the workload was extremely heavy. You had to be in the office on time. If you were late, you got consequences for that. If you didn't make your certain amount goal for that day, there were consequences. You would either stay up all night answering phones or clean the kitchen or whatever they would do some crazy outlandish things, but I can't really go into detail of that because I have to meet with certain folks
Yeah.
regarding this
Okay.
case. I mean,
Hmm.
if you want to talk
Yeah. No.
offline, yeah, I know. If because
Yeah,
I
we
have to
don't.
meet,
Listen,
yeah,
I'm not trying. Listen, I practice over there, but I ain't
yeah,
trying to go there to be like you had a conversation with Miss Susan on your
right.
platform, and we need you to come and talk to us. No, I'm
I
not.
can talk. I can talk to you on offline on phone or whatever. I could tell you, but right now because everything is still kind of like
Up
where it
in there.
is. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm. So, like with Kojic though, what made you leave Kojic?
Um, I got married, had kids, and family grew up in Maryland. Originally from Long Island, New York, born and raised in New York. Got
Okay.
married, moved to Maryland, and we raised our kids there. Got divorced, and got into a whole lot of non craziness. My life just went like south, and
Mm.
I was in a home for a while because I was really sick for a long time, and then they reached out to me, and I guess the way he was talking to me was something that I needed, that I was missing, and
Mm.
it was like he just kind of coerced me into this. You know, it's like
That's
like a woman was
interesting
looking
how
for
he found you.
something. Yeah,
Do
yeah.
you did you post a lot on Facebook? Like, do you think he was looking at things you were posting? Like, some people share a lot of their life and they're like, "Oh, today was such a horrible day." or eventually I still believe God, or I believe God is going to do this and that. I mean, to give kind of a insight into what your life was and things that were missing.
In a way, yeah, because I was posting on Facebook, but not as much as and when I first met, well, he reached out to me because it was more like I was having an issue that day, or my pictures and this and that. And then he saw my pictures and he said that was the first thing that he saw, my heart, when he saw my face and this and that. And he said that you have a heart for the Father, you have a heart for Jesus. And I was like, oh, okay, And I grew up in church, and I was like, oh, okay, great, you know. It didn't, but I was like, he was like reaching out to me. I'm like, if you this big dude around, why are you reaching out to somebody like me? I'm nobody. So when he was showing me some type of attention, that's what kind of lured me in.
I could see that. Yeah, that's interesting.
If you use
Yeah,
the right words, you can, you catch a lot of flies with honey, but eventually that honey becomes contaminated with a lot of flies. So, but it was like he said the right thing at the right time when I so-called needed it. But that's what happened. And it just lured me. And then I went to the services. The services were on. I enjoyed the services. It was great. And they did show a lot of love, at least the ministers there when I first came through. It was very
okay. So you had
inviting.
some good times. You had some good times. It wasn't all bad.
It wasn't all bad. It wasn't
Okay.
all bad. At least 20% wasn't all bad. But yeah.
But that whopping 80 was something, huh?
Yeah, I
So
lived
did
that
you
Whopper.
see Jesus? Did you see Jesus too?
Actually, I have seen Jesus in my dreams.
I'm talking about at the church when he said he sees Jesus in the corner, like when Vicky Yohe was there and she said she saw him too.
Actually,
That's
I
it.
didn't, because I personally didn't like her because she was a hot mess.
Ooh,
Um, she was a diva.
ooh,
She
Vicky.
was, I mean, she was just like, at that time when one of the ministers was on the stage and they was in talking to her, and they say, we have Apostle's friend Vicky Young. I'm not a friend. I'm family. I mean, she was just like a hot mess. She was country. He was just, you just want to smack her, but you can't, because that's Apostle's friend. But trust me, there's a lot of ladies there, and even some dudes that wanted just to smack the sister and smack them lashes off straight, something, because she just got on my pure nerves. And there was a time where they wanted me to do her lashes, and I was like, I don't have the machine for that, but I'm like, okay, fine. She was just very,
So you think Vicky was acting more haughty than she ought
yeah, she
when
was
she was
trying.
there?
Yeah, because when I saw her on the news saying, I'm so glad that, everything I spoke about came about. Girl, please, you just trying to sell your book. No, because she was a hot mess too.
So my take on the Vicky Yohe thing, and I said it before, and again, it's my opinion. I don't know none of these people. I did feel like what I gathered when she came out was that her feelings was her. It kind of took her down a couple notches when
Mm-hmm.
she found out she just wasn't the only person. And in order
Mm-hmm.
for her to expose him, she had to expose herself. So for
Right.
you to kind of say, hey, God told me to, you knew you wasn't supposed to be sleeping with that man even before. God didn't have to tell you that. He told me to
Mm-hmm.
go ahead and go public and do this. I honestly think the initial revealing was because you found out that you weren't that
The only one.
first lady, or whatever the position is, and that he was messing with you and her and her and her too, or whatever. So
Right.
that's what I always looked at it with her. And then her political views just threw me all the way off it, but especially with her being a person who primarily got a lot of her props from the black church. So
Mm.
I just
Yeah.
was like, see, just have an issue with people that come in and they kind of culturally come in and they utilize that, but then when it comes to social issues and justice for black people, they're not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily on their side. I have an issue with that, and especially when there's Christian, you have the Americanized Christianity, and the fact that you're gleaning more towards that when ours is more social justice, is where your a lot of your money is coming from, and
Mhm.
that blew you up. We sung your songs. Like we
Right.
sung your songs. And people
Yeah.
talked about you having soul and all of that. So I just was a little, and then after a while she was subtly, when she got somewhat blackballed because she posted some stuff when Trump came to the White House the first time, and she had the bags like Trump coming, God is finally coming back to the White House, or Jesus coming to the White House. And they lambasted her, and then she apologized, and it affected her real bad. And then she kind of slowly is doing, similar stuff again. I just stopped following her. But yeah, I had mixed feelings about her and the story of it. I didn't deny that he played her. I ain't
Right. I
deny
mean,
that.
I don't deny that. And I feel bad that she actually went through that because, just like I'm sure a lot of Solomon's wives and the concubines is running, which one is he going to see tonight?
Mm. And you knew
So,
that? So was he trying to hit on you, Susan?
girl, please. Mm, mm, mm,
He
mm.
didn't find the apostle appealing?
Next question. So, girl, please. All I'm gonna say is this: that he's running neck and neck with King Solomon, and you know where he ended up. So let's just leave it at that. But
Okay. All right. Enough
um,
said, sus.
yeah,
Anything else you want to let us know? I know you got other, you said you have to talk to some folks, so I'm not trying to
right.
say
Um,
anything that they try to play in court. Like you said this at first, because that's what I would be doing. I'll be
right,
watching. Okay.
right. If you want to hit me up on sidebar, we could talk more in depth. It's just that yeah, definitely, I would love to share my story with you. I would definitely, because there's so many people out there talking about it, but you're about the only one that's real. So,
Oh, thank
um,
you.
and
Make sure you follow me on Instagram, and you can DM me if you follow. It's Pam.esq on Instagram. And if
okay,
you go on my inbox or even on Facebook, it's my full name, because But yeah, I'll definitely we can chit chat if you want to chit chat. That's cool. But I'll probably see you, I guess, because I'm sure gonna come to those hearings. I sure am.
right. Oh, you will. But I'm Susan Darlene on Facebook, and the person whoever
Okay.
said that he would be my bodyguard, I would appreciate that, bro. Because I have a feeling Tyler Perry might write a movie on this, and I may have to pick out
This
somebody to
would
play
actually be an
me.
interesting Tyler Perry's movie. It really, really will. And I think we all heard rumblings about it for so many years, and
Mhm.
I never understood. Even for instance, like when I called a couple of weeks ago, the lady that was there that was doing the prayer line, she was like, and God, she just divulged. I didn't even ask her. She divulged because what I said was, so do you guys have church on Sunday? And she was like, yes, we have church on Sunday, but our church is under attack and our leaders are in jail right now. And she compared it to Bible and Jesus going to jail and all of that good stuff. And she just kind of spilled all the tea, like about, so if you see anything on the internet, I think she got a little nervous because she was like, well, if she looks up this church,
Mhm.
then this is going to come out.
Right.
So she was already, I guess, prepared to try to let me know that this is what happens when you're in the kingdom, and this is what Satan does. And so when you see it, just ignore it and whatever. But I had heard so many things about this, and I watched his deposition back in the day when it first happened, that I just always just knew that this wasn't right. Like this whole church
Well,
wasn't
Jesus
right.
was first off, he was the Son of God, and he didn't steal, kill, nor destroy, nor did he lie or cheat or womanize anything of the sort. He was the
Mm,
truth. So I can
that's the
understand his
word.
persecution, but this one here, hmm,
I agree with you. You got an amen for me, sis.
amen. God
I'm just
bless you.
that's
And
that's
everything.
what
Yeah. Yeah.
that's what they said. They just were like, comparing. It's almost like a badge of honor. They have them. I guess it has them feeling like you're doing this in the name of Jesus,
And
like
that's
Christian.
what bothers me the most is when you put Jesus' name on some mess like this. That's just putting a bad name out for him. For those who don't believe, we're trying to get them to believe, to bring them to Christ. This is just like, this is why I don't like religion. This is why I don't like church. And this is what hurts me and angers me because, a lot of times I was there ministering and speaking to people. I'm like, my God, I was drawing them closer to him, to apostle, as opposed to joining. to Jesus like I'm supposed to. So that's
Yes.
what hurts the most. But I pray that, now that this is, happening, things will turn around for the better. That's what it's about. It's about, I always want to serve Christ. I'm going to serve Christ no matter what.
It
And it
has to
took me
be
a
relationship.
long, yeah, it
This
took
is
me a long time to
religion.
even say anything to anybody about it.
Hmm. Well, thank you so much for talking here. But yeah, it's about most of that is cultish and it's religion.
Hmm.
And it's the same religion that slave owners used in order to keep black people in submission. It's the same, it's no different. And you have to learn relationship in Bible and what thus saith the Lord and actually get revelation. And that's
Hmm.
the issue is that a lot of these pastors they draw people towards them where you rely on them to interpret the word for you and what it means instead of doing it for yourself and pushing you towards that. And if you working as much as you guys are working, I guess you wouldn't have much time to really sit and study and consecrate like you
Girl.
sound
Mhm.
like you guys were working more than if you working around the clock.
You talking about a slave in Israel. He took it to a whole new level. But yeah,
So nobody worked like outside job. That was your job.
that was our job. There was no outside work. I didn't even know what was going on in the world. Um, we didn't know what was happening. And, we had to rely solely on the leadership or him to let us know what was happening. And, you know, it was the main thing was to bring the people, into the ministry to a movement. That's basically what it was. So,
Hmm. So did he ordain you, or were you already ordained when you got there?
well, I was ordained, like, how Benny Hinn waved that jacket and people fell down. That's how I was ordained.
Oh, did you
It
fall
gave
down?
me,
Did the
I,
wind hit you?
well, you had to, but
I'm sorry. What do you
yeah,
mean you had to?
well, I just fell down with the rest because there was one lady who was in front of me who was kind of a little bit larger than me. She kind of fell in it, I got caught in the court and I kind of fell back. So I just stayed down. I was like, and actually, because when you're on that stage for hours and you in high heel shoes, your feet are hurting, you'll take a
Mhm.
fall. So
So he did like this, whoosh, and everybody was just like boom, 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 like that.
boom, 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 like a domino effect. Yeah, basically. So, and
And that was your ordination, and now you are qualified to be a minister in this ministry.
uh, in his, but I'm just plain old Sue.
That's interesting. Thank you so much, Sue. I appreciate the
Mhm.
insight and I appreciate the super chat. I appreciate you supporting the platform. We'll be in touch. This is very interesting.
Oh yeah, you haven't heard. This is just a
Scratching the surface, huh?
girl. Hmm.
You gonna have me in there. I got a couple of cases over there in the Eastern District right now. So you can have me over
Yeah.
there being nosy. They'll be like, ma'am, isn't your case over? I'll be like, no, I'm here for something else. I'm here just to view something else right
Well, all I know is that my kids, they're so happy, but they're like, if we can catch them just 5 minutes,
now.
it's a
Ooh,
done deal. So that's why I try to keep my kids from away from there because, mm,
did they keep you away from talking to your kids? So we did hear about I know you like, girl, are you gonna let me go or not? But did they keep you like the isolation that was mentioned in the indictment about isolating
I will say
people
this:
from family?
we were told that ministry comes first, and I couldn't contact my kids while I was. There was times when my children tried to reach out to me, but they couldn't because I was always busy in the ministry on the phones or doing other things, and I'll explain to you in depth about that. But my kids couldn't, like, I wasn't allowed to give out where I was. I had everything was kind of secret.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it
All
was.
right, Susan. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, girl,
Well,
it's
we
like
gonna
a
pray for your covering on. We really are like we play a lot over here, but we don't play when it comes to our belief in God and what He can do. And so we are definitely going to pray for your protection. And please, like, don't be hard on yourself. Like I said earlier, it happens a lot, and it may be it's just a part of your journey. It's a
yeah.
part of your journey. You know better now. When you know better, you do better. And we've all done things where we were like, like we've
Mm-hmm.
all done it, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And so again, we thank you so much for coming on, and we pray that God continues to cover you and keep your mind and keep you safe,
Yes, ma'am.
and
Yes,
that he
ma'am.
everything that you lost, it will come, because he's a God of multiplication, and it's gonna come back 100 times fold than what it was before, and that your greater is better than what was before. And I just want to speak life into you, and that, I can tell the heart that you have for Christ. And don't give up on God, because He's not going to give up on you.
No,
That's,
because it was God that got me out. So I can't give
that's
up on him. So
we thank God that He got you out of there, and got you out of there with your mind
yes,
intact.
Lord. Amen.
So
Amen.
He's
So I will
already
definitely
showing
be
you
reaching
the
out to
way.
you.
All right. All right. Thank you so much. I will talk soon.
Okay, dear. Thank
All
you.
right.
God
Have a
bless.
good night.
You too.
That was great, wasn't it? Thank you so much, Miss Susan. We appreciate you, sis. Y'all, that's it. I was gonna get on for an hour. We ended up getting on for an hour and a half. That is what let me see. That is the latest information related to David E. Taylor. We gonna keep, she said, we just scratching the surface. So make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I hope you guys enjoyed today's broadcast. Thank you so much, y'all. Yeah, God got Miss Susan. She gonna be all right. But yeah, telling me to go sleep in the garage, we would have had a problem though, David. We would have been, for real. Garage. I'd have been calling my brothers like, do you know this man in this church just said I gotta go sleep in the garage and eat a peanut butter sandwich? I just know me. I wouldn't have made. He would probably wouldn't have let me be no minister anyway, because my mouth is too big. He'd have been like, oh yeah, oh yeah. Uh, so anyway, y'all have a good night. This was great. Gotta go. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel.